Widowed mother rushed her son to the hospital at 3 a.m. The doctor was her first love. She abandoned. A 33-year-old widowed mother is driving through empty New York streets at 3 a.m. with her 7-year-old son Lucas, burning with fever in the back seat, his small body shaking with chills. And Marina Costa is trying not to panic because she lost her husband Tiago to cancer a year ago, and the thought of losing anyone else is more than she can handle. She pulls into the emergency entrance of Hospital São Lucas, carries Lucas through the automatic doors, and tells the triage nurse through tears, "Please, my son has a fever of 40 degrees. He's been vomiting. I don't know what's wrong." The nurse pages the pediatrician on call, and Marina is focused entirely on Lucas, stroking his hair and whispering, "You're going to be okay, meu amor. The doctor is coming," when she hears footsteps approaching and a familiar voice saying, "I'm Dr. Mendez. I'll be examining your son." And Marina looks up, and time stops completely because standing there in scrubs and a white coat is Rafael Mendez, the man she loved 12 years ago in medical school, the man whose heart she broke when she disappeared without explanation after 2 years together, the man she spent more than a decade trying to forget and failing. Rafael sees her at the exact same moment. Marina watches his face go from professional concern to absolute shock, watches him go pale, watches his hand freeze halfway to his stethoscope. For 3 seconds that feel like 3 years, they just stare at each other. Marina with her son in her arms and guilt written all over her face. Rafael with 12 years of unanswered questions suddenly flooding back. Then Lucas whimpers with fever, and Rafael's professionalism snaps back into place like armor. "Let's get him on the examination table," Rafael says, his voice carefully neutral, not looking at Marina's face. "Tell me his symptoms. When did the fever start? Any other issues?" Marina forces herself to focus on Lucas, to give Rafael the medical information he needs, even though her hands are shaking and her heart is breaking, because she never thought she'd see Rafael again, never thought she'd have to face him, never thought the universe would be this cruel or this kind as to put them in the same room when her son needed help. This story has a pediatrician who sets aside 12 years of heartbreak to treat a child, because that's what doctors do. A mother watching her, first love, save her son's life with gentle hands and kind words while maintaining perfect professional distance. The diagnosis, a severe ear infection causing the high fever, treatable with antibiotics. Lucas will be fine. And Marina's overwhelming relief mixed with devastating guilt. Rafael finishing the examination and writing the prescription without once meeting Marina's eyes directly. The moment when Marina is gathering their things to leave and whispers, "Thank you." And Rafael finally responds with, "He's a beautiful boy, Marina. You should be proud." The loaded silence where Marina knows Rafael is wondering about Lucas's father, and she can't bring herself to explain. Marina making it to the hospital corridor before Rafael's voice stops her. "Marina, wait." And when she turns, he's standing there looking gutted, looking angry, looking like he's been carrying questions for 12 years and can't hold them anymore. "I need to understand. I need you to tell me why. Why you disappeared. Why you ended everything without explanation. Why you broke my heart and never looked back." Marina stands in that hospital corridor at 4 a.m., holding her sleeping son and facing the man she loved and abandoned. And she knows she owes him the truth, even though the truth will destroy them both all over again. "I have a daughter," Marina whispers, her voice breaking. "She's 11 years old. Her name is Sophia. And Rafael." She takes a shaking breath, tears streaming down her face. "She's yours. She's your daughter. That's why I left. I found out I was pregnant, and I was terrified and ashamed, and I couldn't face telling you because we were so young and you had your whole career ahead of you, and I thought I was protecting you by disappearing. But I was really just being a coward, and I'm so sorry." Rafael's legs give out. He actually slides down the wall to sit on the floor, his hands covering his face, his shoulders shaking with silent sobs because he has a daughter he's never met, a daughter who's 11 years old, and Marina kept her from him for over a decade. What happens when the emergency room reunion reveals a secret that changes 2 lives, 3 lives, forever? Subscribe now and hit that notification bell, because YouTube only shows the ending of this story to our most engaged viewers. If you're not subscribed, you might miss how this devastating revelation becomes a journey of forgiveness, healing, and the family they should have. Been all along. Drop a comment telling us where in the world you're watching from, because we love connecting with our global community over these powerful stories about secrets, second chances, and the courage it takes to face the past. Don't miss what happens when a widowed mother's 3 a.m. emergency brings her face to face with the man whose child she's been hiding for 11 years. Marina Costa had not slept properly in 3 days. Her 7-year-old son Lucas had been fighting a cold that kept getting worse instead of better. The fever had started 2 days ago, low grade, manageable with children's acetaminophen. But tonight, at 2:30 a.m., Marina had woken to Lucas crying, and when she'd touched his forehead, he was burning up. The thermometer read 40.2 degrees Celsius. Marina had been a widow for exactly 13 months. Her husband Tiago had died of pancreatic cancer after a brutal 8-month battle that had drained their savings, destroyed Marina's career. She'd been a graphic designer before becoming a full-time caregiver, and left her alone with Lucas and Sophia, and a grief so heavy she sometimes couldn't breathe. She couldn't lose anyone else. She couldn't. So at 2:45 a.m., Marina had wrapped Lucas in a blanket, left Sophia sleeping. Her 11-year-old daughter was responsible enough to be alone for an hour, and driven through empty New York streets to the nearest hospital. Hospital San Lucas, 20 minutes from their apartment. Lucas was shivering despite the fever, occasionally whimpering, and Marina kept one hand on his leg while driving, saying, "You're okay, baby, we're almost there. The doctors will help you." She pulled into the emergency entrance at 3:12 a.m., parked illegally, she didn't care, and carried Lucas through the automatic doors into the fluorescent brightness of the ER. "Please," Marina told the triage nurse, her voice breaking. "My son has a fever of 40 degrees. He's been vomiting. I don't know what's wrong. Please help him." The nurse, a kind-faced woman in her 50s, immediately called for the pediatrician on call. "Dr. Mendez is coming, honey. Just hold on." Marina sat in the waiting area, Lucas curled against her chest, his small body radiating heat, and she prayed to a God she wasn't sure she believed in anymore. "Please don't take him from me. I can't survive losing anyone else. Please." "I'm Dr. Mendez. I'll be examining your son." The voice was male, calm, professional. Marina looked up to thank him. And time stopped. Rafael Mendez stood there in scrubs and a white coat, a stethoscope around his neck, his dark hair slightly messy from a long night shift, and he looked exactly the same as he had 12 years ago, except for the lines around his eyes and the confidence that came with a decade of practicing medicine. Rafael. Her Rafael. The man she'd loved in medical school. She'd been studying graphic design at the same university. They'd met at a campus coffee shop. The man she'd dated for 2 beautiful, intense, complicated years. The man whose heart she'd broken when she'd disappeared without explanation after finding out she was pregnant. The man whose daughter she'd been raising alone for 11 years. Marina watched Rafael's face change as he recognized her. Professional concern transforming to shock, his olive skin going pale, his hand freezing halfway to his stethoscope. For exactly 3 seconds, they stared at each other, Marina with guilt written all over her face. Rafael, with 12 years of unanswered questions suddenly flooding back. Then Lucas whimpered, and Rafael's training took over. "Let's get him on the examination table," Rafael said, his voice carefully controlled, professionally neutral. He still wasn't looking at Marina's face. "Tell me his symptoms. When did the fever start? Any vomiting? Difficulty breathing? Marina forced herself to focus. Fever started 2 days ago. It was low grade, around 38, but tonight it spiked to 40.2. He's been vomiting since yesterday, complaining his ear hurts. He had a cold last week that seemed to be getting better, but then, okay, let's take a look. Raphael gently examined Lucas, checking his ears. Lucas cried when Raphael looked in the left one, his throat, his lungs, taking his temperature again, 40.1 now, asking Lucas questions in a gentle voice that made Marina's heart break, because Raphael would have been such a good father if she'd given him the chance. After 10 minutes, Raphael straightened up. Severe ear infection in the left ear. That's what's causing the high fever. I'm prescribing antibiotics, amoxicillin. He'll need to take it 3 times a day for 10 days. I'm also giving him something for the pain and fever. He should start feeling better within 24 hours. But if the fever doesn't break by tomorrow night, bring him back. Thank you, Marina whispered. Raphael nodded curtly, writing the prescription, still not meeting her eyes. The nurse will give you the medications and discharge instructions. Make sure he stays hydrated. He turned to leave. Raphael. Marina's voice broke. He stopped, but didn't turn around. His shoulders were tense, his hands clenched at his sides. Thank you for helping him. He's a patient. I'm a doctor. That's what I do. Raphael's voice was flat, then quietly. He's a beautiful boy, Marina. You should be proud. The implication was clear, unlike the other child, the one Raphael didn't know about. Raphael walked away before Marina could respond, disappearing into the bowels of the ER. Marina collected the medications from the nurse, got Lucas settled in the car, and drove home in a daze. By the time she got back to the apartment, 4:30 a.m., Sophia was awake and worried. Maman, is Lucas okay? Where were you? Sophia, Raphael's daughter, the secret Marina had kept for 11 years. He has an ear infection. The doctor gave him medicine. He'll be fine. Marina hugged Sophia, inhaling the scent of her daughter's hair, fighting tears. She'd thought she'd never see Raphael again, thought she'd successfully buried that part of her past, thought the guilt would eventually fade. She'd been wrong on all counts. Marina put Lucas to bed. The fever was already starting to break with the medication. Made coffee she didn't drink and sat at the kitchen table staring at nothing. She was still sitting there at 6 a.m. when her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Marina, it's Raphael. His voice was tight, controlled, barely containing emotion. I got your number from your patient file. I know that's ethically questionable, but I don't care. We need to talk. Raphael, not about us. Not about why you left, or why you disappeared, or any of that. I need to know. His voice cracked. That boy, Lucas, who's his father? My husband. He died. Cancer. Last year. I'm sorry. Raphael was quiet for a moment. And you have another child? A daughter? Marina felt ice in her stomach. How did you? Lucas mentioned his sister while I was examining him. Said she takes care of him sometimes. Said she's 11 years old. Another pause. Marina, tell me the truth. Is she mine? Marina started crying. Yes. The line was silent for so long Marina thought Raphael had hung up. Then she heard him breathing, harsh, uneven breaths like he was trying not to cry. I have a daughter. Yes. You kept her from me for 11 years. Yes. Why? Because I was 22 years old and terrified and ashamed, and you were in medical school with this brilliant future ahead of you, and I thought I was protecting you. Protecting me? Raphael's voice exploded through the phone. You were protecting yourself. You were making decisions for both of us without giving me a choice. Marina, I loved you. I would have... He stopped, clearly trying to control himself. I would have done anything for you, for our child. And you just... disappeared. Like I meant nothing. Like what we had meant nothing. It meant everything. You meant everything. That's why I couldn't face you. That's a coward's excuse. Raphael's voice was cold now. You were a coward. And I've spent 12 years wondering what I did wrong, what I said, why you left. And it turns out it wasn't about me at all. It was about you being too scared to let me be part of my own child's life. You're right. I was a coward. I am a coward, and I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't give me back 11 years with my daughter. Sorry doesn't fix this. Raphael took a shaky breath. I need to meet her. Sophia. I need to meet my daughter. I know, and you should. You have every right. I don't need your permission for my rights. Raphael's voice was hard. But I'm not going to traumatize an 11-year-old by showing up and announcing I'm her father. We do this carefully, properly, with therapy if necessary. Do you understand? Yes. I'm finishing my shift at 8 a.m. I'll come to your apartment at 9. Text me the address. He paused. And Marina? I don't forgive you. I don't know if I ever will. But that child, our child, she deserves better than our mistakes. So we figured this out. For her. He hung up. Marina sat in her kitchen, crying, until the sun came up. At 8:45 a.m., Marina woke Sophia. Lucas was still sleeping, his fever broken, breathing peacefully. Sophia, we need to talk. Something important. Sophia sat on the couch, rubbing sleep from her eyes. What's wrong, Mama? You look upset. Something happened last night, at the hospital. Marina took her daughter's hands. The doctor who treated Lucas, his name is Dr. Rafael Mendez. And Sophia, God, this was so hard. He's someone I knew a long time ago, before you were born, and there's something I need to tell you about him, about your father. Sophia went very still. My father? You said he died before I was born. I lied. I'm so sorry, baby, I lied. Your father is alive. His name is Raphael, and he's the doctor from last night. He didn't know about you until now. I never told him. And that was wrong of me. Very wrong. But he wants to meet you. If you want to meet him. Sophia stared at her mother, tears forming in her eyes. My pie is alive? All this time? And you never told me? I was scared. And wrong. And I'm so sorry. Does he want to know me? Sophia's voice was small, broken. Or does he hate me because you kept me secret? He wants to know you. Very much. He's coming here in a few minutes to talk to us. To meet you properly. Marina pulled Sophia close. Baby, I made terrible choices. I hurt people. I hurt you by keeping you from your pie, and I hurt him by keeping him from you. But if you're willing to try, we can fix this. We can be a family. It won't be easy, and it won't be fast. But we can try. The doorbell rang at exactly 9 a.m. Raphael stood in the hallway, no longer in scrubs but in jeans and a t-shirt, holding a bag from a bakery. He looked exhausted and nervous and angry and hopeful all at once. I brought pão de queijo, he said, quietly. I didn't know what else to bring. Can I come in? Marina let him in. Sophia was sitting on the couch, her eyes huge, staring at this stranger who was her father. Raphael looked at her, really looked at her, and his eyes filled with tears. Sophia, you're so beautiful. You look like my mother. Same eyes, same smile. He stayed by the door, giving her space. I'm Raphael, and I'm your pie. I just found out about you last night. I didn't know. If I'd known, I would have been here. Every day, I promise you that. Sophia was crying. Why didn't Mama tell you? Because she was scared, and she made a mistake, a big one. But Sophia... Raphael wiped his own tears. None of this is your fault. You didn't do anything wrong, and I want to know you. If you'll let me. We can go slow. We can take our time. But I'd really like to be your pie. if you want that. Sophia looked at Marina, then at Raphael. Can I hug you? Raphael's face crumbled. Please, yes, please. Sophia ran to him, and Raphael caught her, holding his daughter for the first time in 11 years, crying into her hair while she cried into his chest. Marina watched them and felt her heart break and heal simultaneously. The next 2 years were not easy. Raphael was angry, furiously, justifiably angry, at Marina for over a year. They went to therapy, individual and family. Sophia went to therapy too, processing the revelation about her father, the loss of Tiago, who'd been the only father figure she'd known, and the complicated emotions of building a relationship with Raphael. Raphael met Sophia weekly at first, then twice a week, then as often as both their schedules allowed. They went to parks, museums, movies. He taught her to ride a bike, something Marina had never managed. He helped her with math homework. He came to her school plays and soccer games. Lucas adjusted surprisingly well. Sophia's real pie is here now, that's good. And Raphael included him in everything, treating both children with equal love and patience. Marina and Raphael didn't date, didn't even discuss the possibility. Their focus was on Sophia, on building trust, on healing. But slowly, over months and years, something shifted. Raphael's anger softened into understanding. Marina's guilt transformed into determination to do better. They became co-parents, then friends, then, tentatively, carefully, something more. 2 years after that night in the ER, Raphael asked Marina to dinner. Just the two of them. Is this a date? Marina asked nervously. I don't know. Maybe. Is that okay? They went to dinner. They talked, really talked about the past, the mistakes, the hurt. About Tiago. Marina was honest about her marriage. It had been good but not passionate, built on companionship after loss. About Raphael's decade of wondering what he'd done wrong. I don't think I'm fully healed from what you did, Raphael said honestly. But I also don't think I want to live without you anymore. These 2 years, co-parenting with you, seeing you with our daughter and with Lucas, Marina, you're a good mother. A good person who made a terrible choice when you were young and scared. And I think I can forgive that. If you're willing to keep being honest with me, keep choosing us. I will. For the rest of my life, I will. They started dating officially. Slowly, carefully, with Sophia and Lucas's input at every step. 6 months later, Raphael moved in. Not to Marina's apartment, but to a house they bought together. Big, enough for all 4 of them, with a yard and rooms for everyone. 1 year after that, Raphael proposed. Simple proposal, at home, with Sophia and Lucas both there. Marina Costa, 12 years ago you broke my heart. 2 years ago you gave me back my daughter and we started building something new from broken pieces. I love you. I love our family. I love the life we're creating together. Will you marry me? Yes. Always yes. They got married 3 months later, ceremony at a small church with Sophia as maid of honor and Lucas as ring bearer, and all of Raphael's family, who'd welcomed Marina and Lucas without judgment, and Marina's family, who'd spent years covering for Marina's secret, and were relieved it was finally resolved. During the ceremony, Sophia gave a speech. My mama made mistakes. My pie missed 11 years with me, but they're fixing it now. They're choosing to be a family. And that's what matters. Not what happened in the past, but what we choose to do now. I'm glad they found each other again. I'm glad I have my pie. I'm glad Lucas has a pie too. We're a family. Finally. 5 years after that night in the ER, they were a complete family. Raphael, Marina, Sophia, now 16 and thriving, Lucas, 12 and devoted to his big sister, and a new baby daughter named Helena. Tell us the story again, Lucas would say, about how you and Mama met at the hospital. Raphael would look at Marina, and they'd share that complicated look of two people who'd hurt each other terribly and somehow found their way back. Your mama brought Lucas to the hospital because he was sick, Raphael would start. And I was the doctor. And I recognized your mama from a long time ago when we were young and loved each other, but life got complicated. And that night, seeing her again, treating Lucas, it changed everything. It gave us a chance to fix our mistakes, to build the family we should have been all along. And then Mama told you about Sophia, Lucas would finish excitedly. Yes, and I was angry, very angry, but I was also grateful, because I had a daughter I'd never known about, and now I could know her. Now I could be her pie. It wasn't easy. It took a lot of work and honesty and forgiveness, but it was worth it. You're all worth it. Best worst 3 a.m. emergency ever. Best reunion that exposed 12 years of secrets. Best revelation that destroyed and rebuilt a relationship. Best 2 years of therapy and slow healing. Best decision to forgive and try again. Best family built from broken pieces and hard truths and the courage to face the past. And Sophia, now 16, would say what she said every time they told this story. I'm glad you kept me, Mama. Even when you were scared. And I'm glad you wanted me, Pi. Even when you had every reason to be angry. I'm glad you both chose to fix this. I'm glad we're a family. Best daughter who forgave her mother's mistake and embraced her father. Best son who accepted his new family without jealousy. Best couple who proved that some broken things can be repaired if both people are willing to do the work. Not every story about secret children ends happily, but this one did. Slowly, painfully, honestly. Because Marina stopped being a coward. Because Raphael chose love over anger. Because Sophia decided both her parents deserved a second chance. And because sometimes 3 a.m. emergencies bring you exactly where you need to be, even if it's the last place you expected. If this story touched your heart, let us know. In the comments, what score would you give this story from 0 to 10? And where in the world are you watching from? We love connecting with our global community. Share this with someone who needs to hear that keeping your ex's child a secret for 11 years is wrong, but not unforgivable. That pediatricians who treat their secret children with professionalism deserve medals. That mothers who finally tell the truth deserve second chances if they're willing to do the work. That 11-year-olds learning their father is alive need therapy and patience, and that some broken families can be rebuilt if everyone chooses honesty and healing. Subscribe if you believe in 3 a.m. hospital reunions, in secrets that destroy and truth that heals, in men who choose their children over their anger, in women who face their cowardice and change, in therapy that actually works, and in the idea that the family you should have been can still become the family you are if everyone is brave enough to try.